what you can say, an intrinsic value measure or a fair value measure. It is a market driven measure. It is a pricing of the volatility. That is nothing but implied volatility. How can we find out implied volatility? We value a, say, option. Let me take example of, say, HDFC Bank. We value the option using our own assumptions of volatility, and we see what is the, and we arrive at the call option or the put option, as the case may be. Whatever is the call option price and put option price, we compare it with a similar strike price and expiry, which is quoted in the market. If the quotation in the market is higher than our valuation, that means in the market there is an assumption that there is more volatility, and that volatility would have priced in on the quote that we get. And in case if we in our valuation comes out to be larger than the fair than the price in the market for that particular call or put option, then we can assume that the volatility that we have taken into account is quite high compared to the market sentiment. So implied volatility is basically a measure of the market sentiment with that particular option. Now, what kind of volatility we should take if we get our assignment for ESOP valuation? Now we can, in case we have got a valuation assignment of an unlisted entity. Unlisted entity valuations, usually in our valuation reports, we have to quote on what assumptions we have taken volatility as a factor, because even a 5% change in the volatility that you have assumed, the option valuation is going to be very different. 5% change or a 10% change, and these percentage changes are very important because a small change is going to impact the financial reporting of the company. In case you take unnecessarily a high volatility, it is going to end up becoming an expense on the P&L of the company, because the fair value of the option will be higher, thereby leading to multiple years they will have to show higher expenditure for their employee benefit expenses. Now, at the same time, in case we go for a lower volatility, we might end up boosting the profits of the company unnecessarily. Okay, let me take a look at some questions that are there in the chat group. Okay, what if the share is not listed? I have considered that. I have told in the how to calculate volatility. We'll be doing that later today. My question is, when we have different vesting period, why shouldn't we use volatility? Sir, when there are different vesting periods, we will have option valuations of for the different years. Say if our vesting periods are, say, one will expire in 3 years, another in 4 years, another in 5 years, or 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 years. For each of these years, we'll have to do different option valuations. So because time period affects there, so you can take different volatility for different time periods, but that wouldn't really what you can say makes sense, because say for 3 years you have assumed a volatility of 10%. For 3.5 years you can probably assume a volatility for 3.5 years of historical volatility, but you cannot really say they are different volatilities in the same option valuation. That is the one that is going to get vested in the 3 years. You cannot take multiple volatilities in the Black-Scholes model. But yes, 3.5, 4.5 years require you to do give option valuations of those time periods, and thereby your option valuations, in those option valuations you can go. Next is okay, Hari Surya sir, I request you to be a little patient, because not everyone would be knowing all the terminologies. Especially volatilities are things that requires intense iterations. going to the calculation, it's just arithmetics after we learn our things. So I request you to exercise a little patience. Now that we have studied historical volatility and implied volatility, I'm going to quickly go into the COVID-19 impact on ESOPs, and post which we will take up the sums. All right. Now, COVID-19 impact on ESOPs. Now, what is happening because of COVID-19 is, just before the outbreak, probably in the third quarter in India and second quarter in China, ESOP valuations were already done. But once the lockdown and the pandemic spread, the valuations are down now. The assumptions based on which those valuation reports were issued do not hold good now, right? So that is why, what is the solution for it? In the market, everyone is coming up with a solution known as interim valuation reports. The ESOP trustee is going to call for another valuation of the third quarter numbers or the fourth quarter numbers in India, third and fourth quarter numbers, so that the actual valuation or the fair valuations as of today can be taken into account while calculating the ESOP expenditure. If this exercise is not taken, the employee benefit expense will be unnecessarily inflated, because the fair values of these options will be high, because the fair values of the shares that were considered for these ESOP options will be high. So in order to reduce the expenditure, already these companies are dwindling under a lot of losses because of COVID-19 impact. This is going to unnecessarily overinflate the losses. So hence, interim valuations are being sought for. And companies which have repurchase liabilities are under more strain. So what are these repurchase liabilities? In case at the time of valuation, at the time of granting of these ESOP options, at those times, probably the fair value of the shares will be inflated. And at the end of the vesting period, if these fair values are not met at the time of exercise of these options, there will be certain repurchase liabilities where the companies will have to pay the differential in the cash to these employees. So if those fair value expectations are not met, the company will have a cash outflow. So these companies are under the most strain today, and these companies are requesting their employees to have a relook into the agreements that were made, so that the fair values can be altered to reflect the situation that is on date today. So these are some of the COVID-19 impacts. We can discuss more impacts at the end of the session. Now, let us get into the actual solving of a particular case study. I'm going to take a semi-medium case study, not too one-off of a case study, or not too simple of a case study. We will just take a look at a case study where it is practically these type of situations may come. All right, Sundaram Private Limited has the following staff on its roll: top level managers, mid level managers, some professional staff, and support staff. The total number of employees are these many: 25, 250, and 150. So in case if you're viewing this through a computer, I would request you all to open an Excel sheet so that you can start making some small data point note downs. I will also share the Excel sheet that I will be using. Yeah. So just note down these variables, and these variables will be our inputs for the valuation model that we will be taking up. So Sundaram Private Limited has the following staff on its roles. So let me make a quick note. Top level, everyone requests you to make notes. Mid level, professional staff, and support staff. So once these variables are input, I won't be going back again to show you the question. So in order so that no one is lost when we are solving the sum, request you to make quick notes. There are 25 employees, 250, 150, and 436. All right, and the company decides to come out with an ESOP plan in the following manner. The top level managers are eligible for 100,000 options per person. The mid level managers are eligible for 50,000 options per person. Professional staff are eligible for 25,000 options per person, and the support staff are eligible for 10,000 per person. So let me just quickly put this. All right. The option shall vest and be granted in a graded manner. So that means it will be given at different eligibilities starting from 1st April 2024. That means the first, grading, the first grant will start from 1st April 2024. The options vesting shall happen in 5 periods every 6 months from the vesting date. That means 1st April 2024, the first batch of options will be vested, and 6 months later, say on 1st December, sorry, 31st, 1st Jan, 1st October 2024, the second batch, and 31st, first 31st of March, the third batch. So like these, there will be 5 rounds of option vesting. All right, from the vesting date at 20%, from the first grant date on 1st April 2024. The exit rate over the vesting periods for each employee is as follows. So the exit rate is how many people will be, what is the attrition rate. So that it is expected top level managers around 10% of the existing will exit. So exit 10%, mid-level managers around 15%, professional staff around 15%, and support staff around 20%. Now, in a practical valuation scenario, you will have to make assumptions. These data will sometimes will be given to you, and sometimes it will not be. In startup companies, usually the attrition rate is quite high, and in well-established companies, the attrition rate is average. So yes, ask the management for attrition rate. Now, the company operates in the software industry. Okay, so that is help for comparable for us. You are required to calculate ESOP value and expected total expense of the proposal. So that is the total expenditure that is expected, that in the present value terms, it has to be given to the management. Probably they will use this expenditure metric to decide whether to give out, options in cash or in what you call, they'll either decide to give out ESOPs or to give out higher remunerations. So it is a deciding factor for them. Now, all right, let us take these figures, and please do open the valuation calculator that has been given to you all. So this should be the valuation calculator that was provided to all of you. All right, so let us just assume that today is the grant date, okay, because that particular point is not given. Let us just assume today is the grant date. The first exercise date